Does plastic surgery or do plastic surgeons take advantage of people's insecurities? Let's react to it. Let's talk about it.
The cosmetic surgery industry exploits people's insecurities. Wow, we all agree. Okay.
When you have trends where all of these women are getting the exact same boob job, the exact same lips, or the exact same nose, it's almost impossible to deny that insecurities are being put onto people.
Imagine that the plastic surgery / cosmetic surgery realm would naturally not exist if it weren't for insecurity, and if we could somehow alleviate that pressure that women in particular feel quite often, then it would be an industry that would be going out of business.
I disagree with that. I mean, I'm a plastic surgeon, and I think that the answer is yes and no. You know, similarly to maybe fashion. Also, is that also, you know, push-up bras? Is that also a terrible thing? The analogy that I always give is if you're gonna go buy a couch, you can go buy a paisley couch. You can do that. That might be the trend. Or you can buy a neutral couch and change your pillows. So I'm the type of plastic surgeon that always promotes a neutral couch, and you can change your clothes, you know, as trends come and go, but you wanna keep your body healthy, natural looking, a very neutral canvas, and then you can play with it, you can have fun with it. So as far as insecurities go, if a woman has 4 children and her stomach's completely blown out, her breasts are hanging down to here, you can't even show your waist, she feels so insecure that she hasn't slept with her husband in 2 years.
This language to me is just so insensitive. I know what she's trying to do, and I know that she cares for her patients, but I don't like the language, and I do think words matter. And, you know, maybe that's just me being part of a woke generation, okay? But I'm gonna stay woke because I don't think that we should be using language like that to describe our bodies. I think that's the first step, right, in accepting your body, is to not accept someone else calling your belly blown out or your boobs hanging down to here. I have in the past been insensitive with my language around body stuff, and this was even in med school, right? So I'm not perfect by any means, and if you catch me outside saying something reckless, you know, please call me on it. I'm not perfect. I show up every day trying to be better, but God's still working on me, right? But I'm gonna be critical and say that's horrible language. Okay, moving on.
Just tell her to learn to love her body, or should we do a 4-hour procedure in a healthy woman who's a mother who wants to feel like, hey, I want to be in a bikini again. I want to have intimate relations with my husband again and not be thinking, oh, is he touching flab here? Yeah. Oh, does my breast not look normal?
Do you feel like that is the most common belief amongst plastic surgeons, or do you feel like you're more of a minority of thought in that?
No, you know, I think when I first started out, I was more of a minority of thought. This is my 11th year in practice, and I've always been into natural results. I haven't moved my forehead in 16 years. I have 15 syringes of filler in my face, but you would never know. Big tip, if your surgeon looks like an...
So I'm only gonna stop here because there were a lot of comments saying, girl, we know. She's not moving her forehead. So that's a big tell. I can move mine all day. Not that that's a source of pride, because again, I'm being a dick right now too. I'm being a little bit of a dick, but no. Would I say that I knew she had 15 syringes in her face? Having met her before, and I met her, I think now it was maybe like 5 years ago for the very first time. To me, she hasn't changed significantly in her looks. And when I go to plastic surgery meetings, there are a lot of men and women who get high off their own supply and look as ridiculous as they sometimes, I guess, can make patients look. So I think she's done a great job of maintaining herself. She doesn't look unnatural. I do think the comments about, we know, girl, we knew it. We saw the lack of movement is again being a little bit of a typing terrorist, but I just wanted to stop there and make that point because there were a lot of comments about that.
And you're about to look like one too, because that's their aesthetic, right? I do feel like a more athletic look is definitely more in now, so I'm hearing a lot more surgeons being vocal about that natural aesthetic, but I do agree with you that it wasn't always that way.
I'm curious because we're seeming to be drawing a distinction between whether or not the results are natural or whether or not the results turn out to be what we would, I guess, call botched. I don't know that it changes the root insecurity that leads people to go and seek out plastic surgery. Do you all feel that insecurity plays a super large role in the choice, or you're doing it for yourselves?
Can I jump in there?
Yeah.
So growing up, I was super insecure. I had no curves. I was always made fun of for not having any curves. So that's why I have such an exaggerated shape now. And I always tied my self-worth to how I looked. And I feel like I was a victim of the plastic surgery industry in a way and beauty standards. And I have to agree on that aspect. Yeah.
Insecurity is a vague term. Everybody looks in the...
That's deep. That is super deep. And I don't know that there are many people, patients like her, who have such good insight into why they've sought out plastic surgery in the way that they have. So kudos to her, because that was a deep comment, and yeah, she seems like a bomb person.
And want something different. You know, you can say, I want a smaller nose, or I want bigger lips, and some girls are like, ew, why? Yours are fine. Or some girls don't like that look. Why do you work out? You obviously wouldn't be super confident have you not. You know, there's a reason why people are spending all this money on Pilates and SoulCycle and all this other stuff. So, I mean, it's all insecurity. It's how you go about it. You want to go to the natural route, working out, you want to go plastic, either or.
Some people wear makeup, some people wear shapewear to make themselves, you know, look slimmer or tuck in that extra.
Basically, the message is everyone's lying. Everyone's causing a little bit of deceit. Everyone's a little deceptive. We just do it in different ways.
Oh, that you might have after Thanksgiving, you know? So I think insecurities are always gonna have it. My question is, what is considered natural? Because if we keep going down that route of, you know, this is considered natural, who defines what natural is, right?
I think the way that I define it is that no one would know when you walked in a room that you had anything done at all. No stigmata of plastic surgery. That's how I think over the years.
Stealthy plastic surgery.
Yeah, like did she or didn't she?
Yeah.
So I think
Agreed.
that, you know, if you think of it as prevention, if you think of it as self-care, if you
Maintenance.
or maintenance, you maintain your car, you maintain your house. You also, if it's important to you, you maintain your appearance.
When I think about it that way, though, in this rule of if you're thinking of something, you know, 3 or more times in a day, maybe you should change it. There are people who
change it.
Well, you should maybe see somebody or see what you can do about creating some sort of difference, alleviating that. We all feel insecurities. I'm pretty sure even now, no matter how much cosmetic surgery you receive, you're thinking of little things you can change about your body constantly. And we live in a world that really emphasizes image. Social media has really proliferated that problem. If everybody was using that sort of metric as a means of change, we would constantly be changing our bodies and faces. And I think it makes us more subservient to societal standards and other people's views than we're subservient to accepting ourselves.
But if you truly accept yourself, then why wouldn't you just accept yourself? Like, why does somebody else changing their face, like, bother somebody who's happy with themselves?
So, I'm not bothered by the fact that people have had plastic surgery.
Right.
I, am very close to a lot of people who've had plastic surgery. Whether it's a nose job, a boob job, those two tend to be the most common in my life. I don't look at the people closest to me and go, but you changed your nose. I don't like that, and now I'm more insecure. However, when I'm in a room and I'm surrounded by like I work with a lot of influencers, and I'll be the only girl who doesn't have a boob job, and it's the same boob job. It's the same look.
Yeah.
And everyone has the same nose, and everyone has the same lips. And then you start to sit there and be like, is there something wrong with me?
Yeah.
And I've had producers and I've had people tell me, like, oh, if your ears were pinned back, it would be a lot better.
That was a very astute point. It's not about curing self-acceptance, right? It's this idea of, if this is what is considered beautiful, then where do I fit in this game, right? If every woman that I see who's marketed as beautiful is white, blonde, has a C cup, has a 24-inch waist, a 38-inch hip, has a little bit of booty, where do I fit in this equation? That's a very natural response. And I think that's where my industry thrives. it doesn't thrive on this idea of diversity. It thrives on the idea of uniformity. And so if we are all uniform, then we are all beautiful. That's a very dangerous way of thinking, and I admit that too, as a plastic surgeon who loves doing plastic surgery and who champions plastic surgery. I don't disagree with anything she said at all.
We're bigger, you'd be a lot better. When you create a culture where people are constantly jumping on the beauty trend, I think that creates insecurities that wouldn't have otherwise been there. So
Yeah.
I have no problem in people getting plastic surgery. I have a problem in a culture that pushes the rhetoric that if you don't get certain things or don't have certain things, that there's something wrong with you.
I want to touch on that because it's about the word create. Really, I think it's take one more step back and look at why these insecurities exist in the first place. The root of that is media, TV shows and models and movies, and comparing literally apples to oranges. Like every single person in the entire universe is uniquely themselves. Did insecurities exist before TVs and these competitions in whatever industry existed? I kind of don't.
I think
yes,
so.
but in a very different way. I think it had to do with survival. I think it had to do with family. Yeah, I have this insecurity about my eyes sagging.
I don't think anyone can argue that social media has been dangerous for people's insecurities. And if you think that it isn't, then I think you've been living under a rock and have been ignoring it, a big problem. Social media is great in a lot of ways. It has united us as a truly global community in a lot of ways. And we realize that we are very much like our neighbors in South America, Africa, the islands, wherever. But as a platform, it also does a disservice to us by promoting single types of femininity, masculinity, beauty, what have you. And what's interesting is that we create our own social media, right? We friend and follow who we want to follow. Yeah, and the Just For You page isn't even random, right? It's based on what you have seen in the past and what you like. So we surround ourselves by images that in the end help to create our own view of what is beautiful. And then we critique our own selves for not fitting in the mold. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting kind of philosophical discussion, but at the end of the day, it's philosophy. It's not something that we are prepared to change drastically, right? So that's also part of this discussion.
I'm gonna pay however many hundreds of dollars to do that, but then it's gonna be maintenance. And then am I really hitting the root of the problem, or am I avoiding like what the real root is, which is this kind of need for acceptance?